Eric Mother, Mother.com, with another mentorship video. We're going to be taking a look at two stocks that have been of interest. We begin by taking a look at NVAX, which has done well this past 2 weeks. First, let's go to the question of if somebody wanted to add on to new positions, where would they go along the instrument? First and foremost, let's take a look at the monthly, and we can see that the monthly already broke out recently, and the buy point there was 9.15. So that breakout already took place on the monthly. We see that that movement also coincided with the RSI nicely, moving above 69.1, which might explain this nice huge move here. We also see that the MACDs at the same time were also moving to fresh multi-year highs. So this period here, we see that the MACDs were doing exactly what they need to do, which is move to fresh highs. So that's why the stock has been doing well. We've been discussing that. And also on the weekly, we can see that the most recent breakout on the weekly was above this recent prior weekly closing high of 9.58. Once the market jumped above that, we see that it had a nice move. We also see that coincided with the move in terms of the RSI, again jumping above 69.1. So if we go back to the monthly, there is no buy point. We haven't had 1 month of rest, and this is the beginning of the month. It's actually the second trading day of the month of July 2015. So of course we haven't had 1 month of rest, so the monthly doesn't give you a buy signal. If you take a look at the weekly, this is 1 week down. We haven't had at least 2 weeks of rest confirmed. And if we take a look now at the daily, is where we might see an opportunity to consider adding on to a position on a breakout if you wanted to, because we've had more than 2 days of rest since it made a high of 11.19 about last week, a couple of days ago. So we've had more than 2 days of rest. In fact, if we take a look at a 6 months daily, then you can see this clearly. You can see that we've had at least 2 days of rest ever since the stock recorded that high of 11.19. So if you were to go long based on the secondary buy point, because we missed the primary buy point on the monthly and the weekly, you can use 11.19, and that's what I'm getting at here. Anybody who wanted to add, if you want to chase this, you're better off waiting for it to confirm momentum by moving above the recent daily closing high of 11.19, and that's how you can time a stock that is moving and moving well. The other stock of interest is SIGM. Let's go first and foremost. This one did well ever since I issued the breakout alert, and I believe maybe it was here at $8. I'm not sure at what price, but we can see at any rate that this breakout took place here on the monthly above that previous monthly closing high after 1 month of rest. So 1 down month during this period here. So this was 1 down month, and then on the following month it broke out. It also corresponded with the RSI moving to 3-year highs, and also subsequently with the RSI moving above 69.10, which might explain why the stock moved from $8 to about $12.50 in a short period, because of that minimum requirement being met. And we also see that the MACDs were not disappointing. So you can see that, again, the MACDs were already trading at fresh highs, as you can see, in terms of the both MACDs and actually the breakout. So let me show the breakout also, see whether we can get all that in the frame. A little bit difficult, but we'll try this. So we can see the price breakout on the monthly taking place somewhere there. Nice breakout. So there was a breakout there. And then we also see that the RSI broke out, MACDs also broke out. Based on this chart, we don't see 1 month of rest and a breakout. So there's no buy point on the monthly chart. The most recent buy point was the one that we discussed just now. We haven't seen a fresh monthly breakout buy point. So you go on to the next chart, which is the weekly. So that was the breakout there. And on the weekly right now, we've had at least 2 weeks of rest ever since making this high. And the high there is 12.27, which becomes our most recent buy point to watch. If the stock, remember today is Thursday, but it is going to be the last day of the week because of tomorrow being a holiday for July 4th. So if it closes where it's trading right now, then we have 2 weeks of rest. And so any breakout after this week is going to be giving you an opportunity to own the stock after 2 weeks of rest. Hope you can see that. In fact, let's take a look at this from a 1 year weekly chart, and you can see here, so we closed there at 12.27 and we've had 2 weeks of rest. And so any breakout now after this close this week, any breakout above that is going to be giving you an opportunity to own the stock. So watch 12.27. Any breakout above that, assuming the stock closes here or at least closes below 12.27, we are looking at a stock with a very strong RSI, already trading above 69.10. It's been trading above 69.10 for the last month or so. And we can see that the MACDs on the weekly are also trading at fresh highs, which might explain the momentum. So from a secondary level buy signal, this is what you've been waiting for, at least 2 weeks of rest. Now, because the day hasn't ended, so let me just show you what the market is doing right now for a little bit of a perspective. Again, this is July 2nd, 2015, Thursday, but it's going to be the end of the trading week because tomorrow is a holiday in anticipation of July 4th, Saturday holiday. All right, so this is what I want to discuss here briefly. What if by the end of the day, today, the stock is trading above 12.27? If this closes, so let me bring that. Bear with me here for a second because I want to explain something here. You can see we have about 5 hours, 4.5 hours to go before the market close right there. So we don't know where the market is going to close this week. But as an example, if it were to close above 12.27, then that would be week number 3. In other words, instead of closing below 12.27, it fails to stay there for more than 2 weeks. And if it closes above this on this week, it's going to be, in other words, you fail to get your 2 days of rest or 2 weeks of rest. So let me explain that. I don't think I did a good job explaining that. So we have this close. So let me just draw this. We have this close here. Draw that properly. So this close corresponds to the 12.27 close, which is here. We've had 1 week of rest down. We've had 1 week of rest down. So let me do it. So that was a close. Oops. That should be a box down. But this week here, we don't know where it's going to close. If it were to close here above 12.27, then the breakout is not giving you enough rest period. We need at least 2 weeks of rest. We need at least 2 weeks of rest below 12.27 for it to be a legitimate breakout. So based on where we close, this could be where now you start looking for a breakout in the coming week and weeks ahead. Or if it ends up looking like this, so let me show that again. So let's say if it ends up looking like this, so bear with me here because I know it's getting a little bit convoluted there. If we end up, so let me do that correctly. Just bear with me. Sometimes it's good to explain these things. So let me do that properly. Through the middle, and this is 12.27, which corresponds to this close, which is now this close here. If today we were to trade and break out, so hold on, let me change the color here. if we were to close above 12.27, something like that, remember this is down week, and this is down week, and this is a breakout. If it were to close above 12.27, then everything has reset and there's no buy signal next week. But the way it's looking like right now, especially now that the market is looking like it's struggling, as of right now, you see that the market is struggling a little bit down, so it's putting pressure on all stocks. It is obvious that right now it looks like it's going to be something like this. So we got the 12.27 close. Market's going to seemingly be trading lower. So hold on. Market's been trading lower here, which is this. So this 1 week down is there, which is this week. And then now we're going to have another week down, which is the key. That's the key. That now we can break out above this 12.27 level anytime from now. And there you have it. You're going to have your 2 weeks of rest down. So this is what we want. 2 weeks of rest down below 12.27. I know you get that, but I was just emphasizing this for anybody who's watching it for the first time. So any breakout after this week is going to be giving you the minimum requirements of 2 weeks down, and that's what we are looking for. So yes, it's been one that needed patience after it had this nice spike, but now that it's cooled down for 2 weeks, any breakout gives you a fresh entry. All right, just like there was another entry here during this breakout. So if it can, it gave you, and we had, after this closing high, we had 2 weeks of rest down, and then on the 4th week it broke out. So there was your entry during that breakout, and after that you got that spike. So this is also a clear example of why we trade. So closing there, we got 2 weeks of rest down, and then we broke out. And that breakout was this tiny closing high above the previous weekly closing high after 2 weeks of rest. Eric Muadh, Muadh.com. Slightly longer video than I thought, but trying to explain something. So SGMI is giving you a weekly entry point. And just to conclude, NVAX doesn't have any entry on the weekly unless it gets 2 weeks of rest. This is just the first week of rest. So this might play out in the coming weeks. And on the daily, if you have to chase this, if it breaks out here in the coming days, then the breakout level on the daily is going to be for it to move above 11.19. And that's how you would time it on a daily chart. Eric Muadh, Muadh.com. Good luck, peace, and blessings. Woo! E-I-C-S. And so it is. Yeah. Baby.